Uh, oh, God, what am I doing with my life?
Oh, hey, Brian!
Oh, hey, who's that?
It's me!
Oh, cool. I didn't think I probably know who you're talking about.
It's
Why don't you
myself! I'm talking about
Why
myself!
don't you come let me see and maybe I'll be able to... I'm bad with... Be quiet.
Oh, but...
I think it's probably Sam. I'd have to
Oh,
assume.
my God! It's Sam!
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, McCarran Monday! Oh, God, that was bad. I don't remember how to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, McCarran Monday! Look around the master, and you're watching the show! 1, 2, 3, 4, McCarran Monday! Hey everybody, how's it going? Oh my God, look, I'm back. I'm from the hinterland, no, from the northern lands of the north of the
land of the midnight
planet.
sun and the hot springs blow.
That's where, well, kinda, yeah. That's where I was. Hey everyone, welcome back.
Hey,
Brian, welcome back.
I'm glad. I've actually been here the whole time,
Oh.
literally on this couch waiting for you to get back.
I know. Well, I heard you yelling at me
Yeah,
like a little while ago.
sitting here just wailing, crying.
Just wailing. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be doing it again. I was actually just thinking as we were starting, you were in Iceland for a month, but actually because Sam was traveling before that, and then I was traveling before that, so that was another 2 weeks, and then now we're almost halfway through April, so it's really closer to 2 months that we've had off.
Yeah.
So a lot's happened, and most of it hasn't mattered.
None of it matters.
But we're gonna try to all the stuff that we remembered. We're gonna talk about and do a recap. Some of the things that have been a big deal, and we're gonna get to that tonight. But first of all, how was your trip? How was Iceland?
Hey, it was okay. It was a little chilly. There was some snow. There were some fish heads that were there. I met some people.
Were you ever solicited for group sex?
I was not. I was not solicited for group sex. Rather disappointingly.
Apparently, that's like kind of what you go there for.
But that's okay because I had a good time with some birds that I met.
What kind of birds?
Ptarmigans. Saw some ptarmigans.
Ptarmigans are amongst my favorite kinds of birds that have a silent P in their name.
Saw some various seabirds.
Mm-hmm. The sea ones.
Saw a lot of little like terns and
frigate birds.
Various
shearwaters.
Various things of
fulmar, of albatross.
No albitri. Alba's tross.
Alba's tross, they're called.
Anyway, no, I'm back from Iceland. It was a good trip. It was fun, and I saw some stuff and I ate some things that were normal.
Did you end up eating any whale?
No, I didn't get my hands on any, nor shark. Even though someone was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make you shark." But I did eat. I was eating meat while I was there. I ate some really good lamb. I ate some good beef, to be completely honest. I had some chicken that tasted like chicken. I ate a lot of bacon because it was kind of the cheapest meat, and that's the most interesting thing I ate.
Okay.
Meat.
Exciting.
But I'm back now, and Boston is much more like America than Iceland is.
Mm-hmm.
So my patriotism, my patriotic spirit is re-emerging with the wings of the eagle and flying into the air, allowing me to continue my quest for the true meaning of our Constitution.
And what did you work on in Iceland? Is it a secret?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a secret. Let's call it a secret. Yeah.
Okay.
I worked on a lot of stuff. I wrote a lot of stuff. I drew some pictures. I took 1 million photos.
Actually, 1 million?
No, not quite. Maybe like 900,947.
Okay.
So not quite 1 million. I'm sorry. It wasn't actually 1 million, but close to 1 million.
You fucked up.
I did. Anyway, so that's that. That's it.
Okay.
Now
cool.
I'm back, and you know.
And we're gonna catch up on some of the stuff that we haven't been able to talk about. I know Care and Jordan have been had a pretty good time keeping up with the news and talking about the Pope. That's I can't
Whom
remember.
is a cool guy.
And I can't really remember. I forget.
Well, they don't have news in Iceland.
They don't have news in Iceland?
No, they don't believe in it.
They believe that time is motionless.
Time is a single point. And that point is all there is, so it's not like it's a single point within another thing. It's just a single point.
It's so everything that people think is new is not new.
Is actually old.
Okay. So but here in America, where our opinions are correct, we do have news, and sometimes that news is about is things that are robots.
Well, yeah, robots. Well, let's get to that in a second. First, let's talk about that.
Oh,
so
you added that.
I did. I just added that. You can smell the ink; it's fresher. So I get back and I get a call from a certain nameless. Let's call them an individual.
A source.
A source. Saying that it's time for some exposure. And not the kind that I do at the pool.
Yeah, not the kind that I do with a bag over my head.
Yeah, this was him saying, not me. This is not me exposing the guy on the phone. Anyway, so it turns out that a good friend of ours, David Letterman, is allegedly retiring from his job on the Late Show.
Yeah. We know him because we're part. Everyone in late night knows each other.
It's a secret club.
We're part of the same.
We have invisible rings.
We're part of the late night world, and we all kind of get along. We go to the galas and the fancy late night dinners and that stuff.
We were at the Emmys this year.
We were at the Emmys.
You just couldn't see us.
We were. Well, we weren't inside.
Yeah, we weren't inside. We were there
on the corner.
We were there,
asleep.
I saw the building. I saw the corner of the building.
Yeah, and then the guard, one of the guards came out and said, "You guys have to go, or I'm going to call the police."
Somebody thought I was Zach Braff,
and
took a picture with me.
He took the box that we were in and shook it upside down, and we fell out.
Yeah.
And we grabbed our space
heater. Dead rats.
We grabbed our space heater and ran.
Anyway, so David Letterman is retiring, and that potentials apparently on the list of potentials are people like Tina Fey and Stephen Colbert, both of whom would be awesome. Stephen Colbert though has his own show already.
Also, it would be weird for him. He wouldn't be able to do his character anymore.
Yeah.
Which he always does.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Yeah. So that's a little weird. But Tina Fey, I'm all over. What a freaking awesome show that would be.
Yeah, that would be radical.
However, I think if they're to choose anyone, it should really, really probably be McCracken with Brian the Bastard. Because who better than to replace, one of the oldest veterans of late night comedy, alive, living veterans of late night comedy,
than the
youngest veterans of late night comedy.
One of the youngest cannon fodder grunts of late night comedy. One of the most, you replace a legendary veteran with a completely expendable piece of rube, slab of meat. Yeah, and like we said, we're already huge on the late night scene and have a big following.
It's true. You're part of it.
You're part of it. Probably all of it. Whoever
you're not.
Whoever
I promise. Anyway, so we're gonna try and get our name in there. We're gonna try and talk to some execs at the. Hey, Freya. We're gonna try and talk to some execs at the Palace to CBS.
It's actually a palace.
It's actually a palace in New York, and we'll see how it goes. And if we can have it, Tina Fey can have it. Like Tina, I'm telling you right now.
She's like the runner-up.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I know you're watching, and you can have it if we don't. All right. So anyway, what other big news happened?
There's a few things. I think this is under my cat's butt right now. It's old news, but since we've had so much time off, we're only getting to it now, and it's continued to develop. So it's still sort of new. Since the start of 2014, NASA has, and again, I should have read all this down, the names of the satellites and junk, but NASA's been exploring,
shooting lasers.
They had a sort of spurt of exoplanet discoveries. And you know how much we love space, is where we're both from, and NASA has discovered, and this was a couple weeks ago, so it might be more, they've cataloged 715 exoplanets this year.
Yeah.
Several of which, I think there were 3 or 4 that were inside what they call the Goldilocks zone, which is the area as far as heat is concerned, at the distance from the sun being habitable, and that they're in the Goldilocks zone, and they are about approximately the size of Earth.
Yeah.
Within 0.1 or 2
Earth sizes.
Earth sizes.
Earths. Units of Earth.
Earthites.
Earthites.
Very close to the size of Earth. And one of them, I just read today, I hadn't even read this yet, they may have detected water on. So this just keeps getting better. So there's a little Earth floating out there, and this, of course, means that it could support life if we went there, and might already have potentially support life, and might already have some of its own hanging around. So that's cool.
And speaking of space, there's a lot to learn about space because it's a really big place, and they've tried to cover space and all of its knowledge in the past many, many times. One of the best times they did that was with Carl Sagan's Cosmos, which was a series that was on TV a long time ago, where he talked in his wonderfully droning voice about space.
I never got through an episode. I fell asleep.
It's awesome, but it's a little outdated. A lot of the science and stuff like that has been updated. We've made a lot of new discoveries in the field of physics.
We have since discovered and then
extra solar system mapping.
Discovered and then subsequently undiscovered black holes.
Yeah. And we've also discovered, new scientists that know things about the universe.
We discovered them. They weren't born. We found
them. And one of them was Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's a sweet dude. And he is currently the host of the new Cosmos on Fox, which is awesome. I've watched a couple episodes. I was in Iceland, so I wasn't able to watch it very easily, but I watched the first couple episodes, and it's pretty great. It's a really awesome show. It's got a lot of really cool information, and it's very sensationalist for those of you who don't like all the, bookworm, words. He flies around in a cool spaceship. It's pretty sweet. An interesting fact about that show, actually, it's produced and was created, recreated, let's say, by Seth MacFarlane of, Family Guy fame, which is very interesting. Seth MacFarlane was like, hey, let's redo Cosmos, but not redo it. Let's update it. How awesome is that? Just when you think you hate a guy for everything that he is, he surprises you with some facts about space. It's great.
He can get away with it. He can get away with what he does.
Anyway, so you should definitely check that out because it's pretty great.
We were talking about water on other planets.
Yeah.
Which, again, on that same subject, you were just telling me that they've confirmed water under the ice caps of Europa.
Not only is it on planets far away, but it's within our own solar system.
Here's the thing about Europa. I didn't even think this was news. Because I thought they'd already had the geysers of nutrient-rich water coming out of Europa's ice caps already.
I just know that it was a big deal that they discovered water.
Well, let's say
they confirmed it.
They've confirmed it. The way Europa
liquid
works...
oceans. Let's say it this way. They've confirmed liquid oceans under the surface. Oceans of water. Not just pockets of water that are superheated, but oceans of water beneath the surface.
I gotcha. The way Titan works is extremely cool because... and it's also, we were just talking about the Goldilocks zone. There's this area in which life can live. But that's according to the Earth model of life developing.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, life can develop around other heat sources, around sulfur vents and stuff at the bottom of the ocean. And Europa is obviously way outside of the Goldilocks zone of our solar system, but its orbit around Jupiter is elliptical rather than round. And what that means is at points it's closer to Jupiter than it is at other points, and that means that the whole moon is occasionally just ever so slightly squashing and stretching as it moves, changing shape a little bit. That means that the minerals and the rocks in the middle of it, the makeup of the actual planet, is flexing, becoming hot, and it actually has a hot center. So the outside, which is all water, is frozen because it's too far from the sun. So but then it's actually heating from the inside rather from the outside. So there is liquid water, and they knew there was liquid water because there had been geysers, and they could measure when these geysers came out. They measured, that there were nutrients and things that could produce life in these oceans. So there was actually this idea that there could be entire ecosystems that were entirely under these ice caps, being heated from the inside out.
Yeah. And now there's even more potential of that because of the abundance of this environment.
Yes.
There's so much potential for the undiscovered in there now. It's not just these pockets of heated water exploding out of the surface. It's big oceans, big, much larger ecosystems.
It's very cool stuff. I'm a big fan of Europa. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
What else happened in space? I think there was there was the methane waves.
Oh yeah, so Titan. We know that Titan has liquids on its surface. Liquid
methane, ocean.
And now liquid methane. We know the makeup of the atmosphere and everything, so we know that methane makes up the liquid on the planet because it's so cold there. But one of the things that they observed recently, which I haven't seen pictures of it yet, but one of the things they observed recently was actual waves, like tidal waves on the surface of Titan, which is unbelievably cool because it's the first waves that we've ever seen on a place that's not Earth. Fran, make sure you don't press any buttons, okay? It's the first waves we've ever seen on a place that's not Earth. So it's just it's not so groundbreaking as it is just fascinating, and sort of magical that we've seen these things now. Besides, I suppose, waves on the sun, though. But, it's a very relaxing thought. Makes me want to go sleep.
But now, if the moon is pulling the tides on Earth, is Jupiter pulling the tides on its moon?
Yeah.
It's kooky-nutty.
Well, I mean, think about it. If the moon had oceans, we'd see it too. Because the moon, just like
come here.
Just like
get off our control.
Just panel. Like Europa squashes and stretches because of the gravity of Jupiter, Earth squashes and stretches because of the gravity of the moon. That's why we have waves. You know what I mean? That's why we have tides. Tides are actually when the moon is orbiting around the Earth and the water gets pulled out where the moon is, and then pulled out also on the other end just because of the way physics works. So we see those kind of things all the time. So Jupiter is affecting Titan just like the moon affects us, and we would affect the moon.
Yeah.
The way the moon squashes and stretches too.
Radical.
It's just very infinitesimal, so we can't see it with the naked eye, or probably with really powerful telescopes.
It's there. It's just wicked fucking stupid.
Yeah. So that's most of the space news. I'm sure there's a little bit more, but that's most of the space news.
There's space, whatever.
But let's just check real quick if there's any other cool other cool science that happened. Hang on one second.
This week in science.
Nope. That's old.
I think for like 2 months, Jordan Kerr refused to talk about the tiny Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton that they discovered. New species of dinosaur, and was it in Canada?
I don't remember.
It was a tiny, a dwarf Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is old news, but it's pretty cool. Mini dinosaur.
Oh yeah, it was the chicken. It was the chicken T-Rex, right? That's what it was.
Right.
It was the little tiny T-Rex. Yeah, like the ones in the beginning of Jurassic Park 2: The Lost World.
Yes.
Just like those.
Wait, when were there tiny T-Rexes? There was a baby
Well, I mean,
T-Rex
they weren't tiny T-Rexes, but they were, remember those the little that ate the girl.
Compsognathus?
Yeah.
No, this is different.
I know, but I'm
This
saying
is
I'm
different
trying to connect with the audience.
I don't think they were that
for those
small
that don't
either.
for those that don't know exactly what we're talking about.
For people who don't know what a Tyrannosaurus Rex is.
I'm trying to provide them with some frame of reference. I'm trying to provide them with some frame of reference, such as a fictional sequel to an already fictional film.
Yeah.
Makes it simple.
Yeah. Most people haven't heard of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but everyone's seen the sequel to Jurassic Park.
Yeah. So
So.
I don't think there's any more news.
No, there's no more news except for your kangaroo.
Oh yeah, it's just a little thing. So we talk a lot about how terrible robots are on the show.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Sam's afraid of robots.
They're just gonna take over the world and kill us all.
Yeah.
That's just what's gonna happen.
I think people will do that before they invent robots good enough to do it. I think people will become impatient and destroy the world before robots are even able to.
One can only hope.
Yeah.
In any case, we talk a lot on the show about how scary robots are. Let's just say how scary robots are and how they may kill us all. To add to the pantheon of animals that people have successfully imitated with robots, from fish to birds to cheetahs to dogs to humans to whatever, now they have a kangaroo that jumps around like a robot, and if it falls over, it can pick itself back up. So there's gonna be robotic kangaroo roaming the outback, killing the real kangaroos and replacing them without us realizing what's going on.
You can barely tell the difference between an animal and a robot.
Well, not if the robot steals the kangaroo's skin and wears it.
Can these robots do that?
I don't know. They haven't learned yet, but I'm sure they will. I'm sure they
will
learn.
Okay.
Because that's what robots do. They learn, Brian.
I'm tired.
So anyway, that's just a little thing. We're gonna talk real quick about some stuff that's actually happening right in this very second, and then we're gonna talk a lot about movies.
What's happening right now?
Movies are interesting.
What's happening?
What's happening right now is baseball, Brian.
Oh.
Baseball, America's pastime and one of the best sports on the face of the earth.
America's piss time. Sorry, what were you saying, Sam?
Baseball's happening. It started about a week ago. And the Red Sox had their home opener 4 nights ago.
Yeah, I watched it.
Against the Brewers.
Yeah.
And lost. And then the next night they played the Brewers again because that's what happens. And they lost again. And then they played another night against the Brewers because usually baseball games come in series of 3. Psoriasis of 3. And they lost again. So basically the Red Sox lost their home opening series, which is, just like super butts lame, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay because they just beat the Texas Rangers. So that's that. Anyway, baseball's back, and we love baseball.
Yeah.
And when Brian wakes up, he'll understand what the true meaning of Christmas is.
I usually don't.
He usually doesn't. I was thinking the other day, why can't I was like, every day should be Christmas, so I can get presents every day. But then I was like, wait, then everyone gets presents every day, because every day is Christmas. Right?
And no one else deserves it but you.
Yeah, and nobody else deserves it but me. So I was like, what if my birthday was every day? But then I was like, wait, I'd be, like, really freaking old. What's 23 times 365?
You'd be many thousands of years old.
Yeah, ridiculous. So then I was like, wait, why don't we just celebrate me every day of the entire year?
So every day, when you get a calendar, every single day says Sam McCracken Day.
Sam McCracken Day on. And it's not like, this is the year of Sam McCracken. But then I was like, wait, what if, instead of that, we add a new animal to the Chinese zodiac?
That's Sam McCracken?
The Sam McCracken. And then I was like, wait, hang on. Let's just eliminate all the other animals from the Chinese zodiac. And they're all Sam McCracken as some Megazord snapping together animal robotic Sam McCracken that comes out and is like, the rooster and the snake come together with the horse and the dragon, and then the monkey's there, and there's a dog, and they're all like squishing together, and then I'm like, I'm there, and then every year is the year of Sam.
But it's the year of only one part of Sam.
Sure, but it's still the year of Sam. People can give me lots of gloves one year, and then maybe people give me lots of glasses and hats and retainers and earplugs another year, and then on the next year I get like 7 billion pairs of shoes. You know, it's cool. Whatever, man. That sounds
Everyone
great.
buys Sam shoes.
Yeah.
What year is that? What makes your feet?
That's gonna be 2017.
Why? What year is that? The rabbits?
No, that's the year of Sam's feet.
Okay. I was gonna say rabbit would probably be your feet.
Sure.
One's the rabbit, one's the rat.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You on the year of the rabbit, you only get left shoes. On the year of the rat, you only get right shoes. What year is it now? It's horse again, right? For some reason, I think that, but I could easily just be.
No, because it's no. I don't think it is horse. I don't know what it is.
I have no clue. And I remember I knew when it happened.
Siri, what year is it in the Chinese zodiac?
It's Monday, April 7th, 2014.
Didn't fucking hell.
That didn't help at all.
I actually knew on Chinese New Year for the first time since I was probably like 3, and now I've forgotten.
You fool!
Alright, we have most of the show set aside to talk about movies
Because
today,
we love
guys.
movies.
We love movies, and I've been watching a lot. I've actually
movies and a little bit of TV too.
I've been catching up on a lot of the stuff that I'd missed, mostly superhero movies. I finally saw the most recent Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man, which I conclude with Sam and a lot of people's assessment that it was compared to the previous Spider-Man series, which came out like 6 months ago. It was
All 3 of them.
Yeah, all 3 of them came out at the same time. Not as good a movie as, like, say, the first or second one.
Like in terms of story and like technically.
Yeah.
Also, just it's not as good.
But a better comic book story and definitely a better Peter Parker.
Yeah. Just a better Spider-Man overall.
Better Spider-Man, more Spider-Man-y. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I watched the most recent Wolverine movie finally. Wolverine Goes to Japan, I think was the title.
What's the crap?
And I've been watching Red Letter Media's various reviews series, and getting into those. If you haven't seen those, Best of the Worst and Half in the Bag, Red Letter Media on YouTube, they're awesome. And they said, the 2 of them said that they rather liked the new Wolverine movie, which surprised me. So I went and I watched it, and it was like just stunningly awful. Like hilariously bad.
I haven't even seen it.
It was terrible.
I just refused to.
So
it took me so long to see Wolverine Origins. Like I waited like 2 years to see that thing, and then I was so horrendously disappointed by it, even though I knew it was coming. And so I haven't even seen this one yet.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's worse than the first one.
I'm not surprised. Speaking of Wolverine,
there is the new X-Men movie coming out, which I believe we've talked about already.
Probably.
Days of Future Past, based on the story of the concept album by the band. What was it, Emerson, Lake and Palmer? Who did Days of Future Past? I can't remember. There goes that joke.
Anyway, this movie is coming out.
It's based on the time travel story from the X-Men canon, which has been retold several times. I know it from the cartoon show from the 90s. What was that one called?
X-Men.
It was just X-Men. It wasn't uncanny. It wasn't.
It's just X-Men.
Fartastic. Just X-Men.
The Fartastic X-Men.
The Fartastic X-Men.
Short-lived.
Now, when I first saw the trailer for this, the teaser, I was like, oh, they started making the prequel series, and then they realized that they couldn't have Hugh Jackman in it, and they were like, well, fuck that, and they figured out some way to shoehorn him in there. But I saw the new full-length trailer, and I am much more excited about it now, and it's actually really more like about that original kind of time travel story that's been retold a couple times, and not just about managing to get Hugh Jackman into as many movies as possible. Not that I have any problem with Hugh Jackman. We also realized that Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine for like 20 years or something preposterous at this point. Or I think 15, we said.
No, not 15. 2001, I think. 13? The first X-Men came out.
I mean, forever, regardless.
Yeah, so that new movie looks pretty sweet. We see the Sentinels in it. We get a chance to see, we see Iceman and whoever the new fire guy is, because it's not Pyro, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Mr. Fire. I'm going to guess it's going to be like some kind of male fire star for whatever reason they do that. Anyway, so there's that, and we see Storm, who apparently has been cut to like 2.5 minutes in the film, which really stinks. I don't know if Rogue is even in the film anymore. It's pretty lame. But anyway, it looks pretty cool.
Well, Rogue stopped being an X-Man. She got rid of her powers at the end of the third one.
She was in this.
I mean, maybe she comes up and she's like, "Hey guys, how are you guys? You being mutants?"
That's probably what happened.
And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, it's lame."
That's probably it. Anyway, so that movie looks pretty cool.
We also saw another trailer last night, which lots of people have seen. This is not quite as happy a thing. I'm not going to say that I had any expectations for Michael Bay doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. First of all, let's be glad that they put Teenage Mutant on the beginning of it.
Yeah, it was going to just be Ninja Turtles.
Because they were too cool to put Teenage and Mutant in the title of their movie. Michael Bay is, he's like one of the worst people ever born. He's a shittier person than Adolf Hitler.
Let's not go that far, because, he is a real person.
No.
He also made, he did make, what did he make? He did make Pearl Harbor. Which is
Pearl Harbor sucks.
It's kind of an okay movie.
I got an argument on Reddit with someone about Michael Bay's usefulness as an organism a couple weeks ago, and they brought up The Rock. Pearl Harbor.
The Rock.
Pearl Harbor. Fuck that movie. The Rock. I'm like, okay, I'll give him The Rock. He gets one. He gets The Rock, and that's it.
Rock, man.
But yeah, it's just terrible. People are mostly very upset about the design of the Ninja Turtles. They're just gross looking. They just look bad.
You know what? They look CG. I kind of think they look cool. They look stupid because it's all motion capture and that sucks. But I kind of think they look kind of cool because they look less like goofy guys in rubber suits and more like what you think freaky giant mutant turtles would actually look like.
Well, I mean, do we want to, okay, if we crossbred humans and turtles, they'd look horrifying. First of all, they'd not be something that I'd want to, look at / root for 2 hours. Or probably, 6 hours, because that's how long the fucking movie's going to be. And also, it's it's the same thing about them not wanting to put Teenage Mutant at the beginning. It's like you're pulling this out because what else? What other cool thing from the '80s? What were the kids back then gonna come out and see? How can they cash in on people's nostalgia? But they don't. But they feel they're too good for it, And
I agree with all that.
It's the same exact thing. You're like, oh, they look like cartoon characters. Ugh. And it's like, well, that's because it was a fucking cartoon. They look like cartoon, and it's trying to make them way cooler and darker and edgier than they really should be, and it's just dumb.
I'm interested to see
if you don't want to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, don't make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, here's this though. Here's this argument.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see a reimagining of it because. Is it better that they're trying to do something new Instead, yes, it's bullshit that they're just remaking something again. Like,
Yeah.
great.
First of all, let's not remember that
That's so great.
the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out like 5 years ago. Let's not forget.
Yeah,
that,
which was a
that.
CG thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I never saw it. I don't know if it didn't do very well or anything.
it
but
was a kid's movie.
It didn't upset anyone. It didn't get in anybody's way.
Anyway, at least they're doing an actual reimagining of the story than remaking the original film with motion capture guys that look exactly the same as the original Ninja Turtles. At least they're doing that.
Yeah, no.
Yes, everything else is wrong. But at least they're doing that.
I don't want to be that guy who says, like, it's nothing like the original, because that's really not the point. But, like, I feel like it is almost contemptuous of the source material. You know? Because we're like, April O'Neil has a yellow jacket. It's like nostalgia, but we're too cool to have them fucking look like they have, like bubbly noses, Like, they're just, I mean, that's the big thing. They're just bad designs. They're just not something you want to look at.
I don't know, I'm interested in it.
And it's like, I like that they've got these like outfits and stuff, and they've got like the kind of like samurai thing going on. It's like everything else about them, but like their faces are just gross.
Well, that is the one thing. In the preview, the dumbest thing ever, this is the one thing that should never have happened. This is the one, like, besides all the other problems, this is the one problem I really, really have. He takes the mask off.
Like, immediately.
He takes his, like, in the trailer, he takes his mask. You don't take the Ninja Turtles mask off. It's attached to their face. It's part of their body.
Yeah.
That's it for me. That's why I'm not going to see it. He takes the freaking mask off.
That didn't bother me.
It just ruins everything.
I don't know. Whatever. But it doesn't matter because Michael Bay made it, and he's the cinematic Antichrist, and it's just gonna suck.
Don't tell that to Lars von Trier, because he'll get real mad.
Who?
Lars von Trier.
Oh, okay. I forget who that is for a second.
Okay. Anyway,
remind me, no, because I know who
he
he
made. The Antichrist and Melancholia. And
okay. No, yeah, okay, that guy. I forgot.
That's sicko.
I knew he was an indie guy. No, okay.
Messed up dude.
But yeah, he's but no, not the cool kind of Antichrist.
Oh.
Not the cool kind of Antichrist. The lame.
The lame kind of Antichrist.
No, Michael Bay represents everything that I hate about Hollywood, and I want to be in his mouth. And this movie's gonna be man's inhumanity to man. Is what this fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie's gonna be, and I'm very upset about it.
I'm gonna wait to pass more judgment. I'm not gonna see it, but I'll watch it when I can.
Well, here's the thing.
See it illegally.
With everything that I've said about it, I have to see it because I can't be that much of a hypocrite who I say I hate it this much and without seeing it.
You have to see it.
But I mean, I know.
I mean, yes.
And
yes,
I'm not going to pay for it. That's the most important thing. By the way, I'd like to say, since Sam's been gone, the rest of us, I think Karen Jordan talked about this. We went to see The Wind Rises in English. These guys had already seen it in Japanese, but we went to see it, and I just want to say I got in an argument with our producer, Chris O'Grady, the other day, because...
Is Chris O'Grady a producer now?
Everyone's a producer.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
He's not a producer.
With our accountant, Chris O'Grady.
There we go. That's better.
And he, this was after the Oscars when I was griping that Frozen won.
We gotta talk about that too.
And Frozen won, and Wind Rises did not. And he was like, "Well, did you see The Wind Rises?" I was like, "No, I'm seeing it next week." And I was like, "Well, you can't really say it was better." And I was like, "Yes, I can." And then I saw it, and I was right. It's like, and sometimes it doesn't matter. And sometimes you don't need. It's like I saw Frozen. I didn't even really see it. I sat next to Jordan while she watched
You
it.
kind of watched it too.
and that-
I watched you kind of watch it.
I kind of watched it, and I got enough information that I was like, this is not Oscar material.
Well, I watched the whole thing, and let me tell you one thing.
Yep.
It is a terrible, terrible movie. Frozen is a bad movie. It is one of the worst Disney movies I've ever seen. Half the story doesn't really make sense. Characters have backstories that are unexplained and unimportant to the rest of the film. It's like cheap and simple. Most of the songs in it are really dumb, and the lyrics are boring and also dumb. The characters
We've
are
been saying to each
extremely
other,
shallow.
First time since forever.
In the first time since forever. In the first time since forever. The characters are extremely shallow. And like the story, it's a bad movie. It's just a bad movie.
And Wind Rises, of course,
Was
not only
awesome.
fantastic in its own right. I had some gripes about it. Definitely wasn't my favorite Miyazaki movie. And we had a long talk about it. I feel like the overarching message of it and like what it did and what it was like about was much more interesting than the story itself, which was kind of like paced weird and stuff.
Yeah, no,
But-
it definitely wasn't a story about a story. It was a story about a character.
Yeah, but regardless,
Journey.
it was still extremely good.
Oh yeah.
And aside from it in its own right, it was the magnum opus of probably you can't really think of a animated feature director who's been more prolific and
It's true.
more consistently just everything he's done ever has been fantastic.
Absolutely.
The greatest animated feature director in history,
Yep.
bar none. And his masterpiece, kind of
I mean,
personal.
Disney is almost on par with it.
I mean, but Disney didn't have one director. They had
That's true.
they had a couple guys. I counted amongst him Don Bluth, even though he's insane, and half of what he made was terrible and half was great. Alongside that, and one of the directors, Disney directors from like late '60s to the '80s,
I mean, Walt
was
Disney
his name?
himself.
Walt Disney himself.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
Not like Disney the company.
Well, I mean, when he started doing features, they sent it over to
Sure.
the three guys who did like Cinderella and all the early ones. I can't remember their names. And then the other guy's name was something overtly German. What was it? And it had a with a K. Wolfgang does not begin with a K.
Wolfgang Carmack.
His name was Wolfgang something.
Mozart.
I can't remember. Wolfgang McMozart. Wolfgang von Mozart.
Wolfgang von Mozart animation.
And he did Jungle Book and Great Mouse Detective and a lot of the ones and Aristocats and a lot of the ones that I like a lot more.
The really good ones.
Yeah, he had that style that kind of left
The
a lot
awesome
of
B-list movies.
yeah. It was a lot of the ones. There was always like the
Robin Hood and
Robin Hood. It had the ones that had a lot of the line work still under the paint, which I always really liked. Anyway, so there are
That's
others. There are others, but he's pretty much Miyazaki. Pretty much you can't. There's no way to compete with that.
But apparently there is. All you have to do is make a movie in America.
Yeah, all you have to do is be made by Disney, and so we're like, what was the one that I heard about with the reindeer that farts in it? I don't know why this guy's from Brooklyn, but it's like the stupid fucking the cartoon, like just throw that on there, give that the Oscar. It prompted me to go look up previous nominations and winners, and this isn't the first great affront, like how the hell did that win?
I'm sure.
But it's the worst.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it was like, someone would win, it's like, oh yeah, like Up was great, but it beat like Coraline the same year, and it's like I'm not gonna be like that movie was bad, like obviously, but like stuff to be like, I don't know, clearly they're just and I like Pixar as much as the next guy, but I'm tired of the fucking Pixar hand jobs.
Yeah, right.
I'm sick of that shit. But this was the year that was most obviously like he was just it's terrible.
Speaking of animated movies,
Yeah.
well, first of all, apparently the group of people that like made Frozen, the main group of people that made Frozen, are getting together to make another Disney movie, which we'll see. But in other animated news, speaking of Pixar, actually, they're making an Incredibles 2, which I think they probably talked about on the show.
I believe they did.
But I just want to mention it because I think it's awesome. And Brad Bird even directed. And that's all. That's all I have there.
Cool.
But let's get back to other movies. Let's talk about Marvel.
Let's talk about Marvel because there's been some Marvel news. First of all, we keep saying we saw trailers last night. That was because we went to see Winter Soldier. We're not going to talk about it much because I know some of you haven't seen it yet because it's brand new.
Bad form.
We're going to wait a couple weeks or
1 week.
1 week.
You
That's
get
all
1 week.
But it was good. You should go see it. It was definitely worth it. I've basically determined that the core Marvel franchise, Avenger and Avenger peripherals, are infallible. Not infallible.
But close to it, though.
Yeah, close to
Iron Man
infallible.
3 was, not very good. But
I liked Iron Man 3 better than this. I mean, I would say that this is, for me, Winter Soldier was one of the weaker of the franchise.
Well, let's put it this way. It was better than
But it was fantastic.
Captain America 1 and Thor 1 and Thor 2, as great as Thor 2 was.
I feel like we have like opposite opinions of all of these.
It was better than Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was definitely better than the Incredible Hulk, because technically that's in canon.
We're not counting those. Me and Jordan, I think she talked about it. We just went through and watched all of them, and she was like, "I've never seen either one of the Hulks. Should I watch them?" And I was like, "No." The second one, wasn't that bad. I mean, it sucked, but it wasn't the first one.
I like the first one better.
Really?
Yeah. It's a very comic book movie. It's more what I like of the Hulk.
I guess. I don't know.
It's more of the wandering Hulk,
I guess.
Anyway, Captain America and Winter Soldier set so much stuff up for the next phase of movies.
It was one of these ones that I remember the two leading up to the Avengers, which were, I guess it was mostly the first Thor movie, or I felt like they're just trying to get this shit out of the way so they can make the Avengers.
Thor and Captain America were the two leading.
Yeah, and that's the way this one almost felt. I mean, not like it was rushed or anything, but like they were really thinking almost more writing the script about the big picture than they were about this one film.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
I'm kind of okay with.
Well, and that's one of the big not criticisms, but sort of critical analyses of Captain America 2 is that it's not Captain America 2, it's Avengers 2. Like it's basically Avengers 2. Besides not having the rest of the Avengers in it, it's all about S.H.I.E.L.D. and what is happening in the larger universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it's about. We see Captain America, and it's it's about him and his personal journey, sort of into the new world and stuff like that. But it, basically, it's about how this group of superheroes is going to need to be this sort of policing body for the entire world. How they have connections over the entire world, not just New York, because S.H.I.E.L.D. was all over the entire world. So that's what I think this movie is about. So parts of it are really confusing because it's setting up a lot of stuff for the future. It's a little wishy-washy because it's part of a much bigger picture. You know what I mean? And we don't have that whole picture yet. So it's a little confusing. And they did take some liberties with setting certain characters up, but not explaining why or who.
Or what, or when.
For future
or where, or why.
Movies.
Or which.
But anyway, go see this movie because
or how many.
It's pretty awesome. Speaking of other awesome movies, maybe, we're watching The Phantom Menace right now because our executive producer, Kara Ferguson, has never seen the prequel trilogy, which isn't really necessarily a problem. However,
it's a blessing.
All of Clone Wars, which we've talked about frequently on this show, the Clone Wars TV show, all 6 seasons of it, all 5 seasons, plus the unaired 6th season were just released on Netflix. And you kind of need to see the prequel trilogies in order to watch Clone Wars. because it's obviously, it takes place in that time period, but also because Clone Wars pretty much redeems the prequel trilogy. You haven't even watched it yet.
I don't know. I just don't. We'll see how that's possible.
You haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
But you have Star Wars written on there.
Well, I have Star Wars written on there because they're bringing back. What was the original actor who played Chewbacca?
Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I heard that. That's a pretty big rumor though.
Yeah, allegedly on the most recent posters for Star Wars 7, they have listed Peter Mayhew as an actor.
It's on posters? I don't have any posters yet.
Well, that's what I read.
What I read was that
regardless, there's discussion of Peter Mayhew coming back, reprising his role as Chewbacca, which seems like a waste of time. Because you could put anyone in that suit and it really wouldn't make much of a difference.
Also, he's old.
Why get someone who's extremely old and probably can't lift those?
Can't really walk very well and stuff. But what I read was that actually he was set up for an appearance at a comic convention, I think in Texas, sometime in April, because they're going to start shooting soon. Actually, I think.
Mm-hmm. My face.
And the convention released a statement saying Peter Mayhew's not going to be able to make it due to filming, due to filming some project. And that's when people were like, oh shoot, he's going to be in Star Wars. So that's what I read. It's sort of unsure if he is going to be in the movie.
What the hell else is Peter Mayhew working?
If he's going to be Chewbacca, he may have just some cameo.
He'll be in it and just with no makeup on, but still doing the voice. Just and they were like, whatever, Chewbacca. It's like, oh, his hair fell out when he got old.
Yeah. It's sad. Chewbacca.
Well, I thought he was supposed to be dead at this point in the story anyway. I guess with Disney rebuilt the canon, they can do whatever they want.
I mean, yeah, because they're not following the same story. In the extended canon, before they did the freaking quorum of canon.
Yeah.
Before all that, it was sort of I think maybe 20 or 30 years in the future, when Han and Leia have 3 kids, one of which goes to the dark side, whatever, or something. At one point, when they're probably teenagers, they all get into a lot of trouble on some planet and they get stuck, but not Han and Leia, and they're off planet. Chewbacca ends up saving the kids by sacrificing his own life when the kids are probably, teenagers. So, depends on where this movie actually takes place. We know very little about this movie so far. Really pretty much nothing. Besides, it takes place, obviously, after the Battle of Endor. Probably 20 or 30 years in the future. That's pretty much it.
Look at my cheek.
It's pretty wild, man. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching our show tonight.
Is that it? Wait, is it over?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I just totally... Whatever.
I'm Sam McCracken. That's Brian Fitzgerald. We have a show, David Letterman. We're coming for you. Don't fall asleep tonight or for the next couple of months. Because you'll probably wake up dead.
You're retiring. That just spurred us into assassination mode. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter, man.
All right.
Doesn't matter. Just don't go to sleep.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next week and watch us every week while our butts fall off.